Milos, what did you see from SeanZelotsky in his first start, and just kind of your viewpoint? What did you think of it? Seemed like he kind of just stepped in like he had been, starting all along.
Yeah, I think obviously I wouldn't say surprising because I've been around for maybe 5 months now, 4 or 5 months here, and he's one of the players that when I first come in, I thought was very, very calm, very technically gifted, and a very good midfielder. And I think his performance on Saturday was unbelievable. I think it's a really good game from him, especially his first start, in the MLS, and to come up against a team that's second on the ladder, away, with altitude, with travel, with everything, all these difficulties. But I think he was, for me, probably the man of the match. I'd say on both sides, I think he was probably the best player on the park, and being so young and being able to play that well and control the game and do his bit, I think it's a credit to him. But I think he doesn't mean nothing if you don't do it again and again and again. I think being so young, he's in the right hands here. He's got players in his position to look up to, that are older than him, that can teach him a lot, and he's one of those guys that will ask the older players for advice. So I think he's on the right path, and I think he's a player who's either not going to stick around too long in the MLS. He's going to either go to Europe, or he's going to be one of those players that's going to be a very key part in this club's future over the next couple of years, if not longer.
You've seen that from Sean already in 5-6 months being around him, that he has kind of the longevity to him. It depends a lot, right, on a lot of things.
No, it depends a lot of obviously how healthy you are, how much you train, how much you sacrifice, how much you work. Sometimes it depends a lot on fortune and luck as well. If you're that lucky, someone's either going to pick you up from Europe, or you're just going to stay here and continue playing Euro as well, which is, again, it's a competitive league. But me joking around with Sean since day one, I've always called him Little Frank Lampard, and I think he's one of those players that's got everything. He's so calm on the ball. He's got a good shot. He's got a good pass, and I think I hope for him, obviously. I mean, I hope for the club that he stays here 10 years, 15 years, be a club legend.
Yeah.
But I think for his career, I think he's one of the boys that over the next couple of years, I don't want to say definitely or guarantee, but I think he's one of the players that's got a very good chance to head over to Europe and make a really big name for himself.
Yeah. Aidan Morris is obviously another guy who's taken significant steps forward. What have you been impressed with in his game overall since you've been with this club?
Aidan's just a general little hard-working player, constantly on the move, constantly running around, buzzing around, hard-working, sacrifices a lot. And I think he's another one who's obviously very young, talented, gifted. He's one that sacrifices a lot, because I see him every day here. He comes into training, he works, he stays longer, stays extra hours, keeps fit, does extras for his rehab with his knee that he had problems with, from what I heard before.
Right.
And he's someone that actually takes really good care of himself, and I think he's a really good pro. And again, another one from the academy here, from the club. I think another one that's destined to have a good future if, obviously, touch wood, God gives them health and they have a little bit of luck as well.
You guys as a team have obviously started to figure out some things defensively. I know it started real well, and then there were some games that you weren't overly happy with the defending, or at least some of the goals given up. What have you seen kind of start to click among the team as a defensive unit?
I think, as you said, we started quite well this season, and after we weren't too good defensively. But I think that's just patches in a season. Every club goes through that. In every league, you see things like that. And I think it's just continuous work on the training part, continually working together, trying to organise things the best we can, from set pieces, from playing out, from having a good low block, from keeping crosses out of the box. And I think us just sacrificing a little bit more, being more aggressive one against one, and sometimes also covering each other's backs, which is very important. And I think in the central defenders position, speaking of Jar, me, Jonah, Josh, all four of us, whenever either one of us has played, I think has done quite well. And I think it's fair to say that everyone's done their job. Whether obviously we haven't won can't say we've won 10 games in a row and then, you know, you can't change someone or something. You know, we've had moments where I haven't played for 3 or 4 games, Josh hasn't played, Jonah didn't play a week ago. So it's, you know, everyone's doing their bit, and I think it's just over time. Over time, you need a bit of time. You need a bit of time to know each other. You need a bit of time for things to click, and it's just, I guess it's a long process. It's not a process you can get in overnight and be like, oh, it's going to be the best back 4 in the league, or the best back 5 in the league, or the best back 3 in the league. It's something that, you know, you need a little bit of time to adapt, to process, and then to get along with each other. And I think things will start to click.
How do you feel you individually have developed that camaraderie, I guess, with the other center backs, and just the adjustment overall to new city, new country, MLS? I know you've been to other countries before, but this is a different experience, I imagine, a little bit.
Yeah, obviously, my adjustment with the boys, you know, I'm really good with everyone. Really, I'm trying to be as well, I mean, as open as I can be to everyone, and I think, you know, I think the boys see that as well, and I'm very honest, very hardworking as well. I'm not a person who's shy to work and to show that, and I think I'm gelling in that sense quite well, and, you know, I'm doing my best every time I get the chance to play. I do my best. I think everyone always wants to do their best. I think there's no one on the pitch that wants to do anything less than that. So I think I'm giving my best, and sometimes it's not good enough, sometimes it is. I'd prefer it to be good enough, and if not better, but I guess it's not always like that. You can't always have a 10 out of 10. In terms of adjusting to America, I think, you know, America's great. I think America's a big country, great. The only downside to being here, I think, is the fact that every one of my friends or family that wants to come visit has to apply for a visa and then has to wait several months to get a visa, and then sometimes they don't get it. Most of the time they get rejected. So that's the only downside, I'd say, to being in the States, is the fact that it's so difficult to come in. I think that needs to, I mean, I'm nowhere near a person strong enough to say we don't have to have visas or anything, but I just think sometimes just common sense, you know, if someone plays, I don't know, NBA, earns 200 million in 3 or 4 years, do you really think that his parents or his friends are going to come into the States and work at McDonald's for $10 an hour? Like, it's just sometimes common sense and things like that, and I'm not the only one with it. I've spoken to most of the boys, you know, who are foreigners, whose parents can't come in, and it's just like, why? You know, we're not going to bring our parents here to work, we're just going to bring our parents here just to be with us or friends, you know, and that's the only downside. Everything else is really great. I mean, the country's good, the environment, it's clean, it's healthy, you get opportunities for everything, and I think it's a country in the football sense that is going to grow, and I think Gianni Infantino said a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not wrong, that give America 4 or 5 years and football will probably be the #1 sport in the country.
Just curious, what's the anticipation level for bringing in Cucho? Is there a little bit of wait and see, you know, what do we make of this guy kind of thing? Because there's always that period of adjustment, right?
Yeah, I think obviously signing a player from the Premier League is always a statement, not just to us, but to everyone in the league. You know, someone who's 23, 24, instead of staying in the Premier League or going elsewhere, he's decided to come here. I think that's a credit to the club for being able to achieve that. Obviously, expectations are going to be high when you pay for someone so much, and, you know, when someone does come from the Premier League, expectations are going to be high, but expectations have to be realistic. You can't also expect him to come on Saturday against Chicago. I think that's going to be his first game, and say, all right, so I just give him the ball, he'll score 3 or 4 goals, we'll win the game. I think we have to be realistic as well. I think it'll take a while for him to adapt and adjust. As some players adapt and adjust a bit quicker, some don't, and I hope for him personally and for us as a club, I hope it takes him the shortest amount of time to adjust, and I hope for him on debut that he scores, and then sometimes when players score on their debut, they burst that bubble straight away, and then the adjustment and everything else just kind of gels and gets on with things a lot quicker. Obviously, for me personally, expectations of him are just to be himself and just to contribute and be a team player, as I think most players are going to be when they come here. And obviously, him being a striker, being Colombian, you know, playing in the Premier League, scoring a couple of goals and things like that, I think is a big sign and a big credit again to the club for being able to deliver such a player.
Milos, right here. I know you probably heard about this before you got here, but aren't you just kind of overwhelmed the way the fans just love this team?
I am. Look, I think the fans, especially here in Columbus, I think the way that the community is set up, I think it's very friendly, and I think the way the club is set up, it's a very open environment where we as players are very down to earth, and basically anyone can reach out to us in any formal way, and we're always going to be able to take a minute or 2, 3, 5, 10, doesn't matter, sit down and speak with people. And I think, you know, I experience that on most games when we play at home. It's a good vibe, it's a good environment. The stadium's unbelievable football, and it's nice when there's 15, 20,000 people in there, you know, and I think it does give it a nice football atmosphere, and it's very nice when we do play home games. Unfortunately, we haven't had too many so far. A lot of games have been away, but I think now hopefully that the nicer weather comes in and home games start to kick in. I hope that stadium gets full every week, and, you know, it gives us a good lift as well.
Thanks, man, appreciate it.